بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام الأتمان الأكملان على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن والاه وبعد. Alhamdulillah, here we are on the fourth lecture of building a legacy through effective parent-child relations. We're going to mention some ayat in the Quran al-Azim regarding parenting, and we'll move on to Ibrahim alayhi salam. Allah Jalla Ala said in Surah Ibrahim, the meaning of which, of course, Surah Ibrahim, Surah number 14, ayats 35 to 41, and mention when Ibrahim said, "My Lord, make this city, Mecca, a secure city, and keep me and my children away from worshipping idols." So security is very important. And alhamdulillah, in the United States we enjoy security. So we ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep our homes secure and make all of the rest of the homes secure, especially those like that of Burma, Yemen, and other places that are in turmoil and war, in Syria and so forth. We ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala restore security to their homes and restore unity to the Muslim community. So he asked his Lord Jalla wa Ala to make Mecca a secure city and keep me and my children from worshipping idols. He said that these idols, my Lord, have misled many people. فَمَنْ تَبِعَنِي فَإِنَّهُ مِنِّي. Whoever therefore follows me, then he is from me. وَمَنْ عَصَانِي فَإِنَّكَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. And whoever disobeys me, meaning in worshipping other than Allah, then you are forgiving and merciful. This is Ibrahim alayhi salam with his soft heart for even the mukhalifin, with his soft heart for people. Whoever disobeys me, then you are forgiving and merciful. Then he said, "O our Lord, indeed I have settled some of my descendants in an uncultivated valley near your house, so that they may establish prayer." When you go build, you build in a fertile land, don't you? When you want to build something, don't you want to build it in a very good land that's going to give you produce? You want to make a farm, you want to put it on sand? You think farmers going to work on sand?
Yes.
Likely, yes or no? He said yes, what do you all say?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, right? Sand, right? Because sand, how fertile is sand really? The water goes straight down. What's going to grow from there, really? You know what I'm saying? But from the tawakkul ala Allah, from having reliance in Allah, is following Allah's command. And Ibrahim alayhi salam, he is an example for following Allah's command, because he would even sacrifice his son, literally, at the command of Allah. That's amazing. All of you have kids. I have two. Right? Could you imagine the amount of iman, trust in Allah, to take that knife, as Abraham did, across his son's neck, and to then it be a ram instead? Man, that was a huge test for Ibrahim alayhi salam. But that strength, and that showed that he had tawakkul all along, because when he made this dua, this is before he had that test. He said, "Oh Lord, I put my dhurriya, I put some of my descendants in an uncultivated land, a barren desert, near your house," which is Al-Kaaba, right? رَبَّنَا لِيُقِيمُ الصَّلَاةِ, so that they can establish prayer. Allahu Akbar. That's why he put them there. So we should then consider, what are our intentions in bringing our kids to the West, right? What are our intentions in placing them into schools, whether it be Islamic or public or otherwise? And what are our intentions in how they develop in this society? Because Abraham set his kids there, he set Ismail and Hajar there, so that they establish prayer. لِيُقِيمُ الصَّلَاةِ. And we're going to talk about what is religiosity and what is faith and so on and so forth. But that did not mean that they would focus on their prayer and then stay to themselves. But he wanted them to affect a society. And that's why Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail later on made dua for a prophet to come to those people. Because he wanted ultimately for those people, those descendants of his, to be pure, to be knowledgeable, and to be aware of legalities of their lives and how to live their lives in accordance with the command of God. And as we said, to be knowledgeable. So to be purified, knowledgeable, and to be aware of what Allah wants them to do. That's what they made dua for. And that was Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So he sat them there, or he established them there so that they can establish prayer. فَجَعَلْ أَفْئِدَةً مِّنَ النَّاسِ تَهْوِي إِلَيْهِمْ. Oh my Lord, make some of the hearts of people yearn towards these descendants of mine. And you notice he said, مِنَ النَّاسِ أَفْئِدَةً مِّنَ النَّاسِ. Some people. Because other scholars of Tafsir said, if he would have said, فَجْعَلْ أَفْئِدَةَ النَّاسِ تَهْوِي إِلَيْهِمْ, then all types of people would have come to Mecca. But here, Allah chose some people to come to Mecca. مِنَ النَّاسِ تَهْوِي إِلَيْهِمْ وَرْزُقُهُمْ مِنَ الثَّمَرَاتِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَشْكُرُونَ. And provide them from all types of fruits and all types of produce and all types of goods and profits, so that they may be what? Grateful. يَشْكُرُونَ. They may be what? Grateful. Provide them with fruits and veggies and all types of all of their needs, so that they can be what? Grateful. Think about that. Give them so that they show gratitude. Usually when people have a lot, usually do they show gratitude or they're ungrateful? Usually they're ungrateful. But Ibrahim is asking Allah, give them a lot, give them all types of benefits and profit, so that they show gratitude. And I would like to liken this, you're talking about a desert land where people make pilgrimage to. When people make pilgrimage there, they bring their gifts and they bring their goods and they trade with one another. So that's how the people of Mecca survive, as well as their 2 trips, one to Syria or Sham and one to Yemen to trade. That's how they made their, so between pilgrimage and those 2 trips of trading, that's how they survived. In America, in the United States, or in the West, even in general, and even in most of the world now, even the rich Arab states or Arab Muslim countries, people have all of their desires and all of their needs at their fingertips. Literally. You can get on the computer, you can get on the telephone and purchase all of your needs. You don't even have to go to the grocery store. You can even buy groceries on your cell phone. Could you imagine? Could you imagine picking up a phone back in the day? You know, the phone that used to go like this? Remember this phone? What is that called? The spinning phone. I don't know what it's called. Huh?
Rotary phone.
Again, what's that?
Rotary phone.
Rotary phone. I saw a video of one lady, she told her granddaughter, she said, here, call your parents. And the girl was like pressing a button, pressing a number, and she's like, how am I use this? I don't know how to use it. And her grandma said, it's a phone. And she could not figure it out. Could you imagine? All of the apps and all of that, but the rotary phone, she was totally oblivious. So imagine now, this phone, you are using it to order groceries to be delivered to your home. You would have never imagined that in the 90s. Never. But now you can use your cell phone to order groceries from Amazon and other places, dropped at your doorstep. And you have many different companies now that are dropping off groceries at your home. I mean, that's amazing. We have so much, but we're so ungrateful. And that's a reality, and I include myself. Generally speaking, as a nation, as a West, and say America in particular, we are ungrateful human beings. So Ibrahim, however, Abraham wanted Allah to give his children so that they show gratitude. Then he said, رَبَّنَا إِنَّكَ تَعْلَمُ مَا نُخْفِي وَمَا نُعْلِنُ وَمَا يَخْفَى عَلَى اللَّهِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَا فِي السَّمَاءِ. He said, oh our Lord, you know what we conceal and what we reveal. You know what we have secret inside of us, and you know what we declare out in public. You know the details of that. And Allah then said that nothing in the heavens and the earth is ever hidden from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then he said, Alhamdulillah alladhi wahaba li ala al-kibari Ismail wa Ishaq. I praise Allah who gave me the gift in spite of my old age. He gave me the gift of Ismail, Ishmael, and Ishaq. Isaac. Inna Rabbi la sami'ud du'a. My Lord listens and answers prayers. So this is Ibrahim showing the gratitude of having children. And as he was grateful for having these 2 children, we should be grateful for having ours. Grateful, showing gratitude. Ya Allah, alhamdulillah. I know a lot of times we're going to pull our heads out because we have kids, pull our hair out and we cry. And we have big headaches and everything. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was thankful and grateful to Allah for giving him kids in the first place. So we say, alhamdulillah ala awladina. Now, then he said, رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لِي. نعم, he said, وَإِنَّ رَبِّي لَسَمِيعُ دُعَاء. رَبِّ اجْعَلْنِي مُقِيمَ الصَّلَاةِ وَمِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِي. Oh my Lord, make me establisher of prayer. Make me to establish my prayer and make my descendants to establish prayer. رَبَّنَا وَتَقَبَّلْ دُعَاء. Oh Allah, answer my prayer, my Lord. Then he said, رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لِي وَوَالِدَيَّ وَلِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَوْمَ يَقُومُ الْحِسَابِ. Oh Allah, forgive me and my two parents, and forgive the believers on the day that the account is established. This is a beautiful example. Wallah, the whole list. If we could just memorize these ayat, it would be beautiful. The Surah Ibrahim, Surah number 14, ayats 35 to 41. Beautiful. You see, if you just read them again and again, if you just read them 10 times, you get to feel like, put yourself in his shoes, alayhi salam, what he was feeling, what dua he's making, and see how that directly has an effect on what we are doing as parents and what we're going through. Alhamdulillah. My first topic today is faith, or Iman, belief. How do we inculcate faith? How do we develop faith in our children? Now, I want you to give me some ideas as parents and as children. How do you guys think we can develop Iman and pass it on to our children? Yes, Saifullah, what can we do? Are you raising your hand? Oh, okay. Technically, you're not supposed to make those gestures unless you're ready to answer. So, yes, sir. How can we develop faith of our children?
You can get rid of technology and bring it back to the olden days.
You think that's possible? That's so cute.
I think it's possible.
Just get rid of technology.
I can become president of America and get rid of it.
Okay, he's going to become president of the United States and get rid of all technology.
Me too.
Nobody's going to be happy about that.
Me too.
But anyway, I would say to your point, son, let's monitor and regulate the amount of technology we give to our kids. Not that technology is a bad thing, but if we're going to be honest to ourselves, we've become more and more dependent on technology because of our usage of it. Where there are civilizations in America that never touch it, not even electricity, never touch it, and they are not dependent upon it. They are self-sufficient. They live their lives peacefully, right, and in harmony, and they benefit from this world. Of course, they don't have many of the luxuries, but they don't feel like they need it either. And I think you guys know many of these types of communities. So the more we are intertwined into the spider's web, the more we're in need of it. And it's like the spider comes and bites us, and we feel fulfilled. And then she comes back and bites us again, and we're stuck. Yes, sir. Rashid.
Teach them to rely on Allah more.
Good. He suggests that in order to pass on faith or to develop faith, teach the children to rely on Allah even more. Good job. As Ibrahim was reliant on Allah, he left his children in a barren land. No vegetation. Mecca. Nothing. And he left them there putting trust in Allah that Allah would provide them. Allahu Akbar. I just can't. Yeah, I can see it. I understand it. But it's just such a big step to take. Allahu Akbar. Yes, sir. Good job. That's going to come where we tell the stories of prophets to our children. Alhamdulillah. Yes, sir.
Putting parental control in technology devices.
Good job. Putting parental control in technology devices. Now, I know some of you, our sisters and brothers, you probably spent a lot of money on that iPhone 8 or Samsung 8, and you felt like, you were doing your child a favor by getting that what they wanted. Again, don't forget that your children are children. And just as you were a child and you were sneaky and you tried to be clever and conniving and deceitful with none of that technology, remember that your children are doing that with the technology. And they become even more clever in their doing that. So at least put some parental control on it, where you can monitor what they're doing. Right? At least. If you're not going to cut back, then take responsibility for it, where you know exactly where they're going, how much time they're spending on a particular game or website, and take control, because you already know if you give a kid a centimeter, not even an inch, they say you give a kid an inch, you give a kid a centimeter, they will take a mile, no problem. Yes, Yassine. Make them read Quran, encourage them. You know, I don't know how much parents read Quran in the house, but reading Quran in the house, even sometimes, and the children see that, it will have a beautiful effect on them. Beautiful effect. And my suggestion is for those of you who have televisions at home, don't let the television run all day with nobody sitting in front of it. That's another problem I've seen. You know, we have a TV in every room. One big one in the living room, and then one in everybody's room. And then they're just running on, and all of the commercials are in the background. So your subconscious, you're being sold to. Even the consumerism that is, we'll discuss consumerism later on, that is being pushed through the television, and the love of the worldly life and material wealth and material gain, it's in your subconscious because it's playing in the background. It's like when you play Quran in the background all the time, even if you're not focused, you'll be aware of it. And you'll start to memorize verses, right? If you play one surah again and again and again and again, it won't take very long before you've memorized the whole surah, right? Even if you don't know Arabic, but you'll memorize it because you kept subconsciously listening to it. So if that's going to happen with Quran, then what's going to happen with the television just playing unended? Yes, sir. Establishing prayer in your home. Okay, most of our men, alhamdulillah, I know that you are visiting the masajid. If you're visiting masajid for prayer, that's awesome. I've also noticed that most of our men are praying their sunnah and witr in the masjid. I do know that it's also more convenient because once you've gone home, you want to eat, you want to play with the kids, you want to lay down, you get distracted, so you're afraid that you're not going to pray. I do understand that. So pick at least one of those sunnah prayers or witr sometimes and pray it at home. So the kids can see mom, dad, well, mom should pray at home, of course, but they see dad also praying at home. I remember one of my teachers, he used to pray duha, salatul duha with his family. He used to get his kids, and salatul duha is the prayer between when the sun fully rises, which is about 7:30 or so in the morning, until about an hour before dhuhr. That's salatul duha time. He would pray that with his whole family. Yes, ma'am. Good job. If we bring our children to the masjid for more than just Jumu'ah prayer. And that would also include us coming to the masjid for more than just Jumu'ah prayer. And we'll discuss the effect of modern day religiosity or worship, how we have interpreted it and how it has affected us negatively. We'll discuss that in a second. Good point. Yes, sir, Yusuf. Good job. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. I barely watch any TV. And that sounds like a conscious decision. It's good for the child to decide that. Even if it's available, but the child doesn't have much of a desire for it. That's excellent. Yes, ma'am. Yes, teach children the basic rules of Islam at a young age. Good job. Excellent point. Yes, ma'am. That's excellent. So show by example that you give your priority to your religion, Islam. That even if you're about to go somewhere and you're going to be late, go ahead and you've heard the adhan, go ahead and pray. Let your kids know we're going to pray first. We're going to be late, but we're going to pray first, then we're going to go. Yes, sir.
Remembering Allah's greatness, we cannot achieve anything without loving Allah.
Good job.
The first thing we should do is remember Allah for everything,
So if our parents can remember Allah for the various blessings that Allah has given us, to mention Allah and to praise Allah, Alhamdulillah for this, Alhamdulillah for that, and to mention Allah much. Remember, when the child, or I should say, what are some of the most popular characters to children? Most popular characters to children are? What? Yes.
People like Mickey Mouse and stuff.
Yes, people like Mickey Mouse. What did you want to say? Yes. Batman. Superheroes, basically. The most popular, yes sir, Yusuf. Superman, superheroes. See? So the most popular characters to your children right now are superheroes. Right? Because they're mentioned in such a good light. They do so many awesome things. They stand up for justice and they fight the bad guys and they save people. Think about it. So if you're mentioning Allah and the way that He mentioned Himself in the Quran and the way that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam learned and loved Allah, if you mention Allah like that, then they will also have an adoration and they will have respect and love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to kind of switch the roles, of course. Yes sir, yes he. Yeah, Spider-Man, SpongeBob. SpongeBob is not much of a decent character, but I think he wants to make us laugh. That's fun. Good job. Good job. So, Alhamdulillah, Spider-Man, yes. SpongeBob, probably not. But the point is, mention Allah to the kids. In fact, I often try to remind my kids from time and again that Allah is watching you. Allah is listening to you. Don't you care? Don't you know that? Why are you doing that? Don't do that to your sister. Don't do that to your brother, and so forth. Try to remind them. Alhamdulillah. So, I have another question. In order to be faithful people of Iman, should we focus on personal, spiritual advancement? Or do we have other responsibilities beside personal, spiritual development? What do you think, adults? What do you think? Adults. I can repeat the question again. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Good job. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ, which means and encourage one another, advise one another with the truth, and advise one another with patience. So what are you alluding to? What are you trying to give with that? I mean, that's there. I understand what you're saying, but I just want you to elaborate. That's right. Deen is something for yourself and something for the others. So I believe if anyone else has something they want to add to that, the point is, should we have a focus on personal development, personal advancement, or do we have other responsibilities? He alluded to the fact that we must encourage one another with the truth and encourage one another with patience. That means religiosity should not stop with you. It should start with you. But it should be contagious. It should be what? Contagious. What does contagious mean? It can spread everywhere. That's what religiosity is. Now, we have greater responsibility to one another immediately. It's not just the fact that, I got up and I prayed my prayer, my namaz, then I went home. So I came in, prayed, salamed out, said my subhanallah, alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar 33 times, la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, lahul mulk wa lahul hamdu wa ala kulli shay'in qadir. Then I read ayatul kursi and the 3 quls, then I got up and I prayed 2 raka'at and then I left. Doesn't that sound familiar? That's what most people do. I mean, we might in passing say salamu alaikum to people, but we're hitting the door. We got places to go, people to see, things to do. But that type of religiosity, though a person may feel like they're doing their duties, it is destroying the image of Islam. That mentality is destroying the image of Islam. How? If they're doing their duties as a Muslim, the basic duties, how is that destroying the image of Islam? I hope I surprised you all with that statement. It's destroying the image of Islam because people become selfish and isolated from others. And they have an attitude that faith starts and ends with ritual actions. People who have this just want to do the basics and go, they have a mindset that I'm doing my duty to Allah. But there are two relationships that are necessary. Duty to Allah and duty to whom else? People. Right? That's why Allah started Surah Al-Baqarah, Alif Lam Mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. That is Alif Lam Mim, that is the book. That guidance that you want is the book. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt within it. It is guidance for those who are disciplined. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. They believe in the ghaib. They believe in the unseen. The greatest aspect of the unseen is what? What's the greatest aspect of the unseen? Greatest part of the unseen? Allah. My brother said Jannah, that's a little bit less. Allah is the greatest part of the unseen because you haven't seen Him. He's ghaib. He communicates to you, but you haven't seen Him. You haven't heard it. You see? So that's the greatest aspect of ghaib. وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ. And they establish prayer. As Ibrahim said, I left my children there to establish prayer. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. And they spend out of what we provided them. So they had a good relationship with Allah, and then they had a good relationship with who? With whom? People. That's where we cut. We cut right there. They believe in Allah, do a good salah, and we cut it right there. We stop it. We slam the brakes right there. I don't know if you realize it, but I want you to look closely. Look closely at yourself. And then look at your surroundings. Is that the type of religiosity or faith or iman that we have? If you look closely, you'll see it. You'll see that we put a full stop. When I prayed my prayer, I did my dhikr, I fasted my Ramadan, right? And I'm going home. A great example of that is that in our Ramadan, though we sponsor the dinner for Ramadan for people when we bring food, for the most part, every year for the past 8 years, the masajid that I have been to and served are struggling to find people to help clean up after everybody ate. Is that true or not? Are struggling to help people have people properly place their shoes on the rack. We're struggling to have people take care of their children and monitor them closely. Am I right or wrong? You see what I'm saying? That's the point. Because I did my ibadah. And I'm going to do my ibadah even if my kid is going to set the masjid on fire. I'm okay because I did tarawih. I don't care if my kid can be cussing outside. He could be with a girl privately, secretly somewhere. He could be looking at somebody's phone like he's not supposed to. But I did my tarawih. I prayed. So I'm okay. Selfish. And self-centered. Right? That's what religiosity has become. But that's not religiosity. That's not deeniyah. It's a misunderstanding. And I'm going to further expound upon that. I saw my sister's hand up. Yes, Sister Khola. That's right. That Allah said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not destroy a group of people who were muslihun. And she showed the difference between muslihun and salihun. Muslihun are people who are trying to fix things. They are active. They're not just religious and stop. They're religious. And they get out and help somebody. They're religious and they stretch their needs, or they find out the needs of their brother. They give more than they take. Muslihun. He didn't say salihun. That Allah did not destroy people who are, while their people were righteous. No, He said Allah didn't destroy a people while they were themselves rectifying society. As long as they are working for the rectification of society, trying their best to fix wherever they can, Allah didn't destroy them. So being salih is not enough. Right? When you say, Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin. May Allah's peace be upon us and upon the righteous worshippers of Allah. It's not enough. You have to now be muslihun. You have to rectify, you have to fix, you have to try. Yes, you might fail. Prophets, they didn't fail in the sense of they did their job and they were successful. But it looked like people didn't answer them. People didn't follow them. Some prophets didn't have a single person to believe in them. But guess what? They succeeded because they did their job and they tried. Even though not one person even followed you. You get what I'm saying? So it's not about who's listening to you and who's coming to Islam. It's not about that. It's about how hard you're going to try to help your society. So your islah and your salah, your righteousness should not stop when you lift your head off of the ground. You get what I'm saying? It's a misconcept. And then the focus on outer appearance of Islam. So the focus on our outer appearance as a Muslim more than the focus on our inner appearance. Right? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to make dua for a good khalq. Allahumma ahsanta khalqi fahassin khuluqi. Oh my Lord, you have made my appearance very beautiful, so make my inner appearance beautiful as well. Make my manners good and beautiful as well. Allahu Akbar. So we can spend a long time on this part, but I want you to understand that this is a very selfish way of practicing deen. When you practice the ritual and you go home. No. Practice the ritual. Meet the goal of the ritual. I have a question. Is the salah itself a goal or it's a means to a goal? It's a means to a goal. Is zakah itself, to pay zakah, is it the goal or it's a means to a goal? Is fasting the goal? As long as you fast, you're okay? Or is it a means to a goal? All of the actions of worship. Establishing a masjid is not a goal. It's a means to a goal. So if you just establish a masjid, just come and pray and leave, then what did you spend so much money for? You know what I mean? Why? If you're not going to take it to lead you to the goal of rectifying your community, uniting them, having them come. This is a place, a hub, a headquarters for people to love and get to know each other and then spread that love to the society. You get what I'm saying? So I want you now to look at all of the aspects of Islam as a means. Not a goal in themselves. It will come clear to you as long as you continue to look at it. Next part I want to talk about is public lifestyle. The public lifestyle. What does public concern mean? Who knows what public concern? What do you think public concern is?
Some Muslim people, they're going out. They're wearing a hijab. They're scared that someone's gonna question them. They're scared someone's gonna call them a terrorist. They're scared that people are gonna make fun of them.
Right.
Or think bad stuff about them because they're wearing the hijab.
But that's a concern, meaning that the people are afraid of the public. But that's not quite what I mean. Public concern is it's concerning the matters of interest to the community as a whole. All of the matters of interest to your whole community. That can be social interest, that can be political interest, or other interests. Should the Muslim be concerned or have something to do with public affairs and public welfare? Should we? Yeah, we say yes, but we have no councilman from the Muslim community. Did you notice that? We're not represented in our local government at all. Did you know that? I don't think you knew that. I mean, yes, first of all, we need to have some presence in our masajid, right? That's first and foremost. We need to be at the masjid. We need to be a part of the board, engaged, part of executive committees, trying our best to show up and be there and be informed and communicate and hold our leadership accountable. Yes. You don't make people a leader just so they can lead and just keep going. You're supposed to check up on them and say, hey, what happened? Hey, what's going on? Hey, this, hey, that. And then say, I'm ready to help. How can I assist? What do you need help in and assistance in? You get what I'm saying? So we have to be active in our masajid first of all, and then we can start having representation in local government to the best of our ability. Even if some of us become police officers, that's good. Something. It's something. It means you're there. You're present. So I think we agreed that Muslims should develop concern or public concern. And we should have it in our children that it's a part of our teaching that you're going to do something about your world. Son, daughter, you must do something positive about your surroundings. Don't just come and memorize Quran and then make it, that's it. Don't just wear your hijab and that's it. Don't just pray 5 salawat and that's it. Don't just give zakat and that's it. Don't just go to hajj and that's it. Don't just build a masjid and that's it. Teach the kids that they must influence their society positively. But the best way they can learn that is from seeing you doing it, dear parents. If they see you active in your community, trying to make things better, then they'll learn from your example. But as long as we are just doing our prayers and going home, we've missed the point of being religious, quote unquote, or having faith. What is consumerism? Consumerism, as Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines it, it's the theory that an increasing consumption of goods is economically desirable. That the more you buy stuff, the better the economy goes. Even stuff you don't need. How many times you bought something you don't actually need? Raise your hand. Come on. All of you make really good choices in buying, or sometimes you buy stuff you don't really need. Yalla. Some people scratching their heads. Come on. Yalla. So you know that there are times, and the concept of, and where do you get it from? All of the commercials. Every time the TV show goes on a break, they're trying to sell you something. Do you remember as a kid seeing all of those really cool toys and wishing you had those? You remember those? You guys see it now, right, Yusuf, right? I remember as a kid, and I was like, man, my toys are lame. They're whack. I want toys to do like that. See, it develops this consumerism. Also, it means a preoccupation with and an inclination toward the buying of consumer goods. That's what we have become. Consumers. We're consuming. We just keep buying and eating, buying and using it, buying and eating, and buying and using it, buying and buying and buying. But we're not producing. That's backwards. We must produce, not just buy. Yes, buy, no problem. But produce also. Bring something new. Develop ideas. Bring something to the table and affect your society positively. If you look closely, you'll find that the picture of our current religiosity that it paints, it is a very every man for himself picture. Everybody for himself. I took a little spot, about 2.5 feet in prayer. I prayed. I cut my phone off. I prayed. I had khushu'. Right? I did the movements perfectly. I'm going to do my tasbih. Say Ayatul Kursi. Say Astaghfirullah. And I'm going home. And on passing, I'll say Salaam Alaikum to people. But if I see a piece of trash right there, a piece of trash right there, if I see something broken over here, something broken over there, if I see a kid hitting another kid upside the head, right? If I see a kid mistalking another kid, or somebody lonely, look like they're new to the masjid, that they've never been here before, and they're looking for the wudu area, I'm just going to go past them and go home, because I got things to do. That's the reality. Right? We've become isolated. We have made actually faithful equals, meaning having iman equals isolation, disunity, selfishness, and conceit. That even a religious person feels so haughty and good about themselves. Yeah. What's wrong with that person? They don't come to the masjid. What's wrong with that brother? I never see him around. What's wrong with that sister? I can't believe that. Why is her hijab like that? Why is she wearing those pants? Why does she have nail polish on? Doesn't she know she can't pray with nail polish on? Now religiosity becomes conceit and arrogance. And that religiosity is destroying us. It is destroying us. Right? As Allah Jalla Ala said, الَّذِينَ ضَلَّ سَعْيُهُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. Those people, and of course Allah was talking about the disbelievers, but if you look at it closely, in Surah Kahf He said, those people who their aims and their goals and their striving was misled in the worldly life. وَهُمْ يَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ يُحْسِنُونَ صُنْعًا. The whole time they thought they were doing a great job. They're actually misguided. They're misled. They're going the wrong directions, but the whole time they think they're doing excellent. Right? Like you look at our Ramadans. We think every Ramadan we're doing, whoa, excellent job. We pray Taraweeh. The most Taraweeh is a Sunnah. Look how many fara'id we destroy while praying Taraweeh. And I'm not saying Taraweeh is a bad thing, mind you. I'm saying we lose a lot of fara'id, a lot of wajibat, a lot of things that are obligatory. We lose them in our praying of Taraweeh. Come on. That's backwards. That's a ritualistic nation. A ritualistic nation that's not realistic. You know what I'm saying? Ritualistic and realistic are two different things. As we said, ritualistic in the sense that we're talking about here means selfishness and conceit and disunity and isolation. I'm going to do my prayer. I'm going to do my fast. I'm going to eat my food and I'm going to go. I'm not going to pick up my plate. Why? Why should I pick up my plate? Why? Why do I need to pick up? Somebody's going to do it for me. It's okay. I'm going to drink a quarter of this water bottle and I'm going to put it down. Then I'm going to open another one and drink a quarter of that one. Then I'm going to put that one down. Sometimes I used to collect 30 water bottles a night in Ramadan or more. And I would find something to do with it. Put it in the plants, right? I don't know, put it in the toilet at least, at least the water is being used and not wasted, thrown in the trash. You see? And we'll talk about lack of responsibility, inshallah, in a second. But when we see the way of the Sahaba, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised in the Quran, when we see their way is totally different. Allah praised وَالَّذِينَ تَبَوَّأُ الدَّارَ وَالْإِيمَانَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. The Muhajirin, they came to the Ansar, right? Muhajirin. What does Muhajirin mean? Yes. Good. People who came from Mecca to Medina. How do you summarize that in one word? Now? Travelers, not quite. Almost, yes. Migrants, right? Or immigrants, right? Right? Yeah, that word sound familiar? Immigrants. People from Mecca migrated to Medina. Medina were called Ansar. What does Ansar mean? Yes. Good job. People who helped the Muhajirin. Summarize it in one word. Okay, I want a better one. Starts with the S. Supporters. Supporters, servers, supporters. They supported them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَالَّذِينَ تَبَوَّأُ الدَّارَ وَالْإِيمَانَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. Those people who had Iman and homes established in Medina, يُحِبُّونَ مَنْ هَاجَرَ إِلَيْهِمْ. I want you to focus on that. They love those people who migrated to them. They love them. I want to repeat it. They love them. When have you ever felt that? Think about it. When have you ever felt that?
The time changes.
Nah?
That was a good time. Long time ago.
My point is that there's a different time, but it's not about the time. I want you to understand. It's an action of Iman. Allah said they had Iman and they loved. A part of Iman is that they love those people who migrated to them. Do you behave with others in a way that they love you? Didn't you find a group of Muslims here, indigenous to this society? How did you treat them through the years? Did they feel disenfranchised? Did they feel left out? Did they feel, or do they feel excommunicated? Have you treated them in a way that they love you? And when you establish yourself and other migrants migrated from where you're from and other places, did you make them feel like you love them? It's very important to understand that if we haven't done that, we're missing the point. Beautiful masjid and nice it's outward Islam, but we're missing the point. That's the point of what I'm saying here. We're missing the whole scope of it. Not only that, وَلَا يَجِدُونَ فِي صُدُورِهِمْ حَاجَةً مِمَّا أُوتُوا, and they do not want anything of what they had been given. Meaning Muhajirin didn't want anything that the Ansar didn't want anything that Muhajirin had. If they had anything in particular, they didn't have a desire for it. They couldn't find the desire in themselves, where you want something that your brother has, right? And Allah says, وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. I want you to understand this, and I want to remind myself. They preferred them, meaning the Ansar preferred the Muhajirin over themselves, even though they were in need. The Ansar are in need of that thing, but instead of using it, he prefers the Muhajirin. I'm going to give it to my brother over myself. I'm in need of it. This is the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like the time the man came, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, somebody made him a very nice cloak, and he was cold, and he was in need of it. You remember the story? So one Sahabi said, Ya Rasulullah, I wish you would give it to me. And he knows that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam never said what? Never said no. Ever. Ever. Except, of course, in that which would be disobedient to Allah. Right? But anything else, he always said yes. He sat with it for a little while longer. He went into his house. He folded it up and he gave it to the man. After that, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam spent some time elsewhere, and the Sahaba got on this man. They said, why are you taking advantage of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? You know he won't say no to you. He said, Wallahi, I did not take this for any other reason than that I want to be wrapped in it for my burial. He put it on his back, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And look at that love for him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I want to be wrapped in this for my funeral. That's the only reason. And then they let him go. Think about it. And the Sahaba had these examples. We find that in the example of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was gathering the sadaqat. He was gathering some charity. And Abu Bakr went home and took all of his wealth and brought it to Rasulullah. And Umar thought that day that I'm going to beat Abu Bakr today. So, radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma, he brought half of his wealth, and he realized that Abu Bakr defeated him. In that he beat him to it, and he realized that I can never compete with Abu Bakr after today. He realized that. But look at the selflessness. Not selfishness, selflessness. Think about it. Then Allah Jalla wa'ala says, وَمَنْ يُوقَ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. Whoever is saved from the stinginess of his soul, then they are the ones who are successful. If you are saved, if Allah saves you from the stinginess of your own self, then you are successful. That means you have to be, and I have to be selfless, sacrificial, loving each other. Right? And if we can do that well, maybe it can spill over to the greater society. In fact, Allah said in Surah Al-Ma'un, أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. That was in Surah Al-Hashr, which is Surah number 59, ayah number 9. Allah said in Surah Al-Ma'un, Surah 107, of course the whole Surah, أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. Have you not seen the one who denies the day of judgment? They recommend فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ. That is the one who chases away or shouts away the orphan. Orphan comes to him. Orphan needs something. What is the orphan? Yes, sir. Good job. A kid that doesn't have any family, but technically a kid that doesn't have a father before he reached the age of puberty, right? So a child that doesn't have a father before he reaches about 14 is considered an orphan. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was an orphan or not? Yes. So Allah Jalla Ala said that the person who denies the Day of Judgment drives the orphan away. وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. And He does not encourage the feeding of the poor. Allah didn't say He does not feed the poor, because feeding the poor is one thing, and encouraging the feeding of the poor is another. And Allah said in another narration, in another ayah, وَلَا تَحَاضُّونَ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. This means you are not continuously and continually getting on each other's back in each other's case about feeding the poor. That's what tahadduna means. That's why it's so long. To emphasize that you are not on each other's back about feeding the poor. That's a problem. And that Allah is describing the disbelievers with that. That the believers don't do that. Believers are on each other's back. But the disbelievers, unfortunately, they don't do that. But when we start to not do that, then we have resembled them. And then the ayah applies to us. So then, Allah said, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. Woe to those who pray. Who are they? الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. They are the ones who are heedless of their prayer. They're not aware of their prayer. They're mindless in their prayer. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ. They are the same ones who make show of their deeds. May Allah save us from that. وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ. And they even do not give simple assistance to people. Ma'oon is what? Can I borrow a pack of ketchup? That's ma'oon. Can I use your broom? That's ma'oon. Can I use your flashlight? Do you have an extra pair of batteries? That's ma'oon. Simple stuff that you can spare. They don't even give that. See how Allah attached Iman with helping somebody, with being there, with giving and being selfless? It's always attached in the Quran. So whose responsibility is it? Whose responsibility? Our brother Aziz said it's everybody's responsibility. It is all of our responsibility, every single one of us, to be excellent, monumental Muslims. And that we do that together. But this selfishness is not going to work, and it's destroying Islam. It's destroying the look of Islam. Even if I give you an example. How many of you, in fact I tested this before. One time I asked a number of people, different ages, different backgrounds, different cultures. I asked them to give me the translation of Surah Al-Fatiha. Guess what? All of them failed. What does that mean? What does that mean to you? That we're focused on a ritual and we're not focused on the goal. So we made prayer, that's it, we prayed, and I said Al-Fatiha. Like, what does Al-Fatiha mean? I don't know. You get a roundabout meaning. How are you going to survive with a roundabout meaning? How are you going to survive on the Day of Judgment? Can you survive like that in your work? To do a roundabout job? Just about? Can you survive with a just about job? Does your boss accept from you a roundabout, just about? You just about did it? No. Your boss, your principal, your teacher wants you to do the job correctly. What about Allah? We don't give Him that much care and concern that we try to do the job correctly. How many of us know the meaning of At-Tahiyyatu Lillah wa Salawatu wa Tayyibat? Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabiyyu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How many of us know that salah? That prayer. How many? Think about it. And I came into Islam and that was not emphasized. I had to learn Arabic first to realize those things. I was saying it for 3-4 years before I understood it. Alhamdulillah, I did feel connected in my prayer. I did feel like I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. And I think for the level I was in, I think that was probably appropriate. Wallahu a'lam. But you imagine being born to Islam and you're 40 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old, 90 years old, and you don't know these things? Could you imagine being a converted Muslim or reverted, as others say, for 40 years and 50 years and you don't know these things? What is that going to look like on the Day of Judgment? That means we've become ritual people. Ritualistic, but not realistic. It's time to change. If we want to leave a legacy, we can't leave an egg shell and tell the child it's an egg. No, it's an eggshell. You can glue it together all you like. It's an eggshell. I want the egg inside. That's what's going to nourish the child, not the shell. And unfortunately, we continue to depend upon someone else to take care of our things without directly being responsible for those things. For example, our masajid, we expect the board and the EC have it under control. And we recognize things are wrong and things need to be done. But we don't step up and we don't say anything. Why? You expect that piece of trash that you see sitting there, you expect that somebody else is going to clean it up. And I know some of you, because I've seen it. You urinate on the seat for crying out loud. Please, what do you expect? Somebody's going to come clean it up? Play. Some of you also, when you do the number 2, and you leave your stains in the toilet. Now this is real. I want you to think about it. Would you like to come to a toilet like that? No. So why do you leave it for someone else? Because you expect somebody else to take care of it and you don't take responsibility for yourself. This is a small example that we have to take responsibility. We got to be active. We got to hold our community accountable, each other accountable, hold our families accountable, hold our board and EC accountable. Say, communicate to us what's going on. Step up. You don't have to be offensive about it and arguing and beating. No, just come with some sense, like you talk to your boss or like you talk to anyone else that you want something from. Come with some sense and say, I want to help out. I want to know what's going on. Please include me so I can help. And I want to give you, inshallah, try to give you a balanced approach. We have to use faith. Number 1, we have to use faith and religion positively to impact our children and give them responsibilities. Faith and religion should not be a punishment. We keep saying punish, punish, punish. Allah's going to get you. Allah's going to get you. Hellfire, hellfire. Punishment, punishment. Use it in a way, that positively impacts our children. That they feel good about being religious, being a Muslim. And they don't stop at just the ritual. They teach them the meaning of it. You have Hisn al-Muslim, the Fortress of the Muslim. It's a small book. Very popular. And you can get it in any language you like. You can memorize the du'as and the meaning of those at-tahiyyatu lillah and subhana rabbiyal a'la and all of these other du'as of your salah. So you have no reason not to know it. One second, Yusuf. To teach your children to love the Quran. Teach them to do what? Love the Quran. Talk to them about the ayats of Jannah. Talk to them about the ayats of the prophets. Teach them to love it. Yes, you can talk to them about the ayats of the hellfire as well at an appropriate age so that they learn that there are consequences for everything that they do. Either positive consequences or negative consequences according to what they do. Number 3, teach your children prayers. Teach them du'as. Rabbana du'as. You can look up all of the Rabbana du'as of the Quran and teach them all of the Rabbana du'as or Rabbi du'as. Teach it to them. Learn them yourself. Have a competition with your kids. How many you can memorize in a week's time. Right? Teach your children to do tawbah, to repent. If they don't see you doing istighfar, how are they going to ask Allah to forgive them? If they don't see you remorseful about the wrong you've done, even if you shouted at them and you know you were wrong, say, I'm sorry. Make dua for me, son, Allah forgive me. It's okay. It's okay to apologize. Teach your kids to apologize for their mistakes so that they can learn how to be better individuals. Number 5, I think, teach your children about Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and the other prophets. That will help them. They can now look up to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and the Sahaba and other prophets as opposed to Superman and Batman. Teach your children about manners. My children, and if my children have to speak to me, they have to say, excuse me first. Excuse me. Because I might be busy doing something. And them just butting in on whatever I'm doing is considered rude. And where I grew up, in my culture, it's considered rude that a child just directly speaks to an adult without saying, excuse me, or pardon me. Right? So I'll make sure. So you say, you're being rude. You have to say, excuse me. And they're 3-4 years old. And I encourage even the kids, when they say, can I say, may I? Here. When I teach the Quran kids, and I'm finishing up in a second, I know you guys are antsy about the prayer. Barakallahu feekum. Just 2 more sentences. When the kids come here and they ask me for anything, can I go, can I do? I say, may I? And then they say, may I? Alhamdulillah, then they go. Teach it to them. Last thing. Teach the children that Allah loves them. Teach them that Allah loves them. You want to directly connect your children to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not just because I said and I want, but because Allah loves for you to do this. And repeat Allah's name often. Again, the background noises and the television and the music and all of that stuff is playing anyway. It's filling their conscience. Try to fill it with Allah's mention. May Allah preserve you. It seems like we don't have time for questions, but inshallah, if anyone has any question privately, I will answer inshallah, as well as inshallah we will return next week for our lecture again. I hope that there was some benefit in anything that you heard, and I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept this small effort and give us His mercy and His forgiveness today and on the Day of Judgment. Anything that I've said that is correct and is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and anything and everything that I've said that is incorrect, then I apologize for that. That is from me and from shaitan. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammadin wa alihi. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.